Welcome back, everybody, to the Anti-Stall Racing IMSA series. It's season 8, the finale of season 8, here at Anti-Stall Racing for, the finale for season 9, round 8, at the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve, something like that, I believe, but we all know it much better as Portimao, and we're out already in qualifying in GT3. There's a couple of titles to decide, and I'm joined by Brody, one of our GTP drivers, gonna chat with me a little bit through the GTP qualifying session. I believe you're here, Brody. You are muted at the moment if you are trying to talk. There we go.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, good to have you with me. You've had a pretty good season so far. You've had, like we said in interviews a couple of times, you could have had moments where it could have gone a little bit better, but the pace has been brilliant. Obviously, I know you've been away from the sim for a little bit as well, so brilliant to see the pace. I know you're normally in GTP qualifying, but what are you looking forward to in GT3 qualifying?
I think it's going to be quite close. Obviously, you've got the big long straight down the main straight, but I think a lot of these cars, they seem similarly paced through the corners, and hopefully not too slow for when we go into the race and I'm trying to get through the traffic.
Yeah, we've had multi-class here before. It tends to work quite well. The GT3s have been very balanced with each other. Actually, we've seen that across the whole season, really. There's no one that's been massively off the pace, which we've maybe seen a little bit more in GTP, with the Porsche struggling a little bit more, but the GT3s very well balanced. Vincenzo Soroche currently runs second in the title standings. He's just 21 points ahead of 21 points behind Vincenzo Soroche, but Vincenzo Soroche, I don't believe, is here today. So if Vincent Ossoms is not here today, so if Vincenzo Soroche has a good day, it could go very, very well for him in the title. But Brody, what do you think the pressure's like? You're 21 points behind. All you have to do today is not get disqualified and qualify high enough up on the grid that you're going to get those 21 points in qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, there's a similar story with myself and Leon. Myself 2 points behind him, so obviously it's going to be a similar scenario there. But yeah, all you need here is you just want your clean laps. You just need a good lap to put yourself in a position where you can sort of control your own race and control those behind you as well. If your track position is key here, it's not really much of an overtaking circuit. Obviously, you've got all the fast corners. You can see Vincenzo coming through here through Portimao corner. I think that's probably going to be our key overtaking zone. Turn 1 can be as well, but obviously with traffic coming out the pit lane, it's going to be very, very close and very tight there.
Yeah, that pit lane exit into turn 1 is going to be really, really interesting. Not only with cars in their own class racing each other when we have people pitting on different strategies, but also multi-class when a GT3 maybe coming out the pit lane doesn't see the GTP flying along down the straight. That could be a little bit sketchy. So hopefully, and I know Andy's given some quite clear instructions in the driver's briefing on what everyone's got to do on that pit lane exit, because it could get a little bit sketchy, like you say. GT3 AM, I believe Senna Bokhoven has now wrapped up the title. He's about 280 points ahead of Jose Carlos Villarejo, but that fight for second place is very close, about 30 points. So keep your eye on those two drivers. That's Carlos Villarejo and Mick Sayan, who hasn't got a time on the board yet. Not even sure if Mick's turned up to date, so we'll keep an eye on that, because that could affect the final results. But the drop round's different for those two drivers, so the drop round today could still affect those standings. Vincenzo Soroche has set the time so far. It's a 1:43.259 for provisional pole position, and we've got four more drivers that have managed to set lap times, and Vincenzo, who we're watching here, is still improving. Brody, you briefly touched on that GTP AM title fight that we've got. Leon leads the standings after having a very good race at Spa. Came home with 376 points at Spa, but Leon has already had a 0-point drop round. Your drop round is 25 points, but only 3 points behind. So, unless you have a 0-point score today, which is obviously probably not going to happen, because you're going to qualify and you'll get some points for qualifying. This is going to go down to who finishes ahead of who on track, really, isn't it? So
Yeah,
how do you go into the
definitely.
fight today? Do you worry about the other cars? I mean, Pete Preens isn't too far behind you guys, so you've got to keep your eye out for Peter as well. But it looks like it's going to be very, very close with you two, and you've just got to worry about each other. As long as I finish ahead of him, that's what matters. Is that going to be the logic in today's race, do you think?
It can be, but I think personally, looking at my point of view, I just need to make sure I'm running my own race. I need to make sure I'm making no mistakes. Obviously, we've seen throughout this season I have made some pretty fatal mistakes, which has cost me quite a few points in a few other races. But as a driver, in this sort of situation, you want to be focusing on your own race. If you worry about the other guys too much, that's when the errors start to come in. That's when the pressure mounts. You just put pressure on yourself constantly, and then you just end up in a spiral, which could send you further down the order. So, yeah, definitely going forward, I will be focused on my own race. I think the latter stages, probably the last half an hour or so, that's when I'll start to worry. Obviously, we've been briefed on this race potentially going to be affected by some wet weather towards the end, so that could play massively in the championship fights, not just for myself and Leon, but also in GT3 as well.
Yeah, the update I've had from race control in that is that we're expecting rain in the last 15 minutes of the race, maybe slightly before that, and that is a 100% chance of rain. So,
Oh, brilliant.
we are going to get some rain, it looks like. It's just how heavy does it come down, and will you have to make that extra stop? Obviously, we've got the 90-minute race today. That's going to affect things a little bit in terms of how many pit stops people make. So maybe you try and stretch out the first 3 stints, it would be, wouldn't it? Because you probably have to do 3 stops today. So you try and stretch out those first 3 stints and leave that last stop as late as possible so you can go onto the wet tyres if you need. But then I think there'll be some people who do the complete opposite and just send it, and if they have to come in for the wets at the end, they'll hope that they built up enough gap by not doing the fuel safe. So that's going to be interesting to see. I'm not going to ask you to tell me what strategy you're on, because that would be a little bit unfair when we don't know what the others are doing.
Yeah. To be honest, though, I think we could see, GTP especially, we could see a difference between the two. Like you say, we could probably see the more faster drivers that have been there over the season, like Max Meyer, Alvaro Gutierrez, them types of drivers who could possibly stretch that first stint. It could be a possible 2-stop. I think if you can make those 30-minute windows work, there's a lot of, like I say, fast corners, but that lengthens the braking zone as well, so there's a lot of opportunity for lift-off and saving fuel that way. So I think there is going to be a variety of strategy here today.
Yeah, I think as well as obviously you, Leon, and Peter, mainly the 3 guys in the title fight. I think Monty is just a little bit too far back from Leon to challenge for the title, but could maybe move ahead of Peter if he had a good day. You've got to worry about all of those cars behind you guys as well, and also you don't know what the pro cars are doing, because the pro cars are obviously trying to run their own race. These guys maybe aren't fighting for positions in the title. I know it's still tight through the rest of the field, but there are people like Michael Karadek who aren't fighting for the title, who are going to be just going for broke in this race. So you've got to be obviously on your lookout for those guys who aren't in the fight but are here to win today, because they're not fighting for the title. So they may be going to do some low percentage, high risk moves in some of the braking zones. So it's going to be a strategy game, I think, as well, and making sure that you only take necessary risks in the race.
Yeah, definitely. Like we say, there's still a couple of championships over grads, but even those that have already their champions, we've still got prize money. People want to fight for as much as they possibly can. I know if I was in their position, I'd be doing the exact same. I would be going for those moves, trying to get as much points as possible. So you're definitely going to see, like we said before, different strategies, people making different moves. It'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. Obviously, with the wet weather as well, it's going to be one hell of a season finale, I think. Yeah,
it's going to be great. And obviously, we often see a little bit of chaos in even the 60-minute rounds. Today we've got a 90-minute round, so it's a bit more of a waiting game than it usually is. There's a little bit longer for the chaos to play out, so you don't need to take too much risk at the start of the race, because there's a lot of laps today where you can make up ground once you get in some clean air, of course, as well. And And what do you think? Do you think you're going to go, because obviously this 90-minute race shakes it up a little bit, but we've seen some of the GTP drivers. I think Leon, it was maybe Leon who I saw do this last race. Leon pitted after a couple of laps to get himself out of the traffic. Once the leaders started to catch the traffic, he pitted out of the traffic and put in some quick laps, and that put him off cycle with everybody else. But obviously with the forced two-stop, everybody else had to then make the same number of pit stops as him. He just had a longer final stint and a shorter first stint relative to the other drivers and got in some clean air. Obviously, I think people know that strategy can work if you manage to find the clean air and some good gaps on track to put in some good laps. But obviously the 90 minutes shakes that up a lot today, and that rain shakes it up a lot as well. So I think the pit stop strategies today are going to be really interesting, and see, like we said at the start, who banks on it getting wet enough for wet tyres at the end and who takes a risk. And we've seen drivers in the past as well. You weren't here last season, but we saw some drivers for, I think it was Velotti Racing last season, who stayed out in a super wet road Atlanta to try and keep it on the road, and ultimately it didn't work, but they were doing very well until it did. So, but like I say, there's a lot to play out today, and it's going to be a super interesting round.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, yeah, Leon's done it a couple of times just to get him free. I think he did it in Zolder as well, where he just pitted when the window first opened, that he wasn't back in the GT3 traffic to get himself in free air. Free air was massive round there, it's massive round here as well. So he could possibly do that again. I'm just hoping for everything goes my way today, really. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Crucially, when we get to the points where the GTPs start catching these GT3s, that's when we'll see the separation, and it's going to be bigger than most of the rounds from the season. Like I say, free air's massive round here, and if you're stuck behind another car, you're going to lose so much time.
Well, yeah, it's all about, isn't it? It's all about where on the track you catch them. Because if you catch a traffic in the final corner, you can clear an awful lot of cars by turn one. If you catch the cars in turn one, you've got to sit behind them through that whole first section of the track, just trying to find some, a bit of space, and you're not going to be able to do it when the GT3s are tightly packed up on that first round of the traffic. All right, Brody, thank you for joining us for that session. I'm going to let you go now so you can go and get ready for your qualifying. We've only got 1 minute left in GT3, and we wish you all the best for today's race.
Brilliant, thank you very much. I'll try and stick it on pole, but I can't promise anything.
We'll monitor your progress. Okay, Vincenzo Sirachi then currently sits on the provisional pole position. That provisional pole position will be more than enough for the championship, as long as he does not get himself disqualified from the race. So it'll be a careful race, I imagine, from Vincenzo Sirachi, but half a second on Alex Ott is mega impressive. We've still got a couple of drivers running out there at the moment. Simon Van Roon is one of them, trying to move himself off of the second last row of the grid. We've got a checkered flag then, so this is going to be final laps. The Ford's looking mega around here, you have to say, and Vincenzo Sirachi will have done enough to crown himself champion, assuming that he doesn't get disqualified in the race. Alex Ott improves but stays P2. Simon Van Roon across the line doesn't look like it's going to be an improvement for the Porsche driver. It is an improvement for the Porsche driver, but not enough to move himself up the timing tower. They're all trying to beat a 42.875. It was set by Vincenzo Sirachi. There's nowhere near enough green on anybody's timing board to do it. Quinton Bossi is trying to improve, currently sits last. Don't think Quinton managed to get much practice in today, unfortunately, unless I'm getting mixed up with another driver from that I spoke to in the chat earlier today. Bossi, though, is going to push to the line, but like I said, he's already a long way off the time he needs. And it's not going to be an improvement for Quinton Bossi, I do not believe. No, and actually that lap was invalidated through that final corner, unfortunately, for Quinton. So Vincenzo Sirachi will start on pole alongside Alex Ott. Jeffrey Ross, Fabio Giabrino make up the second row. Jose Carlos Villarejo P5, Melvin Gack in P6, Sholton Kohler, who Van Ruin and Bossy round out the GT3 field for today's race. Now we're going to have a little bit more action in GTP with a few more drivers turning up to today's race. Jean-Paul Seaman in a Ferrari will lead the field out of the pit lane. And correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, this is not the normal car for Jean-Paul Seaman, who is clearly making a sort of test race out of today's race. Jean-Paul Seaman out of the fight for the championship this season, despite being the reigning champion. Currently sits all the way down in P8, has not had a very good time in the BMW that he was driving previously. So like I say, making a test race out of today's event. Max Meyer leads the title in GTP Pro, and as we discussed post-race last week, will come away with the title. Eloy Caballero is P2 on 1,861 points ahead of Sanchez Cachafiero on 1,836, Samir Ashad on 1,825, and Albert Preem on 1,772. And Juanto Avali even on 1662. All of those drivers still in play for second in the championship, which is going to be crucial at the end of today. So the crown is not up for grabs, but pretty much every other position in Pro is. Leon Van Elwart, like we said, leads Brody Maynard by 3 points in AM, so we're going to watch that closely. Pete Preens is on 1,944 points versus the 2,022 of Leon Van Elwart, who's still in the fight. Nicole Monti as well can just about challenge, but has a much bigger drop round taken, so that may make it a little bit harder for him to truly fight up front without a win today. Nicole Monti currently runs P4. That's what we just discussed upon. Ben Groneveld is in P5 in the standing on 17.53 ahead of Carlos Ponce on 17.33. Then the field starts to spread out a little bit, where we've had some lack of attendance from some drivers, but Daniel Renek currently sits P7, who has attended every race. But Thiago da Costa de Mira is currently in P8, Yanni Kakkonen P9, Michael Karadak sits P10, followed by Shepherd, Singh, D'Alessio, Newen, Rito, and Van der Meulenbroek, who has not scored in any of the rounds this season. Jean-Paul Seaman then starts the first proper push lap of the day, and we're going to follow the rest of this lap on board the Ferrari as he swings his way through what I believe is turn 3 up over the crest. This is blind, this is difficult, and you can see the Ferrari driver in the unliveried but definitely a DLR car is just trying to get those tyres in the window. You can see it's not super late on the brakes for Seaman yet, just trying to find the grip, trying to get the temperature into the tyres, as we've discussed throughout this season. Just been told that Sebastian van der Heuvel, as VR has died at the start of the session, so he's just trying to get that back working so that he can get back in the race. Sebastian also running the Ferrari in today's race, so will be disqualified at the end of the race, but is just here to have fun, obviously out of the title fight in Pro. Through this last little section, this is where you don't want to catch a car in of a GT3 through this high speed area. You're not going to be able to get past. It's going to cost you the whole way down the straight, and look how tentative Jean-Paul Seaman is on the throttle. Finally opens it up, big lift to make sure it doesn't get a tank slapper on the cold tyres through the final corner. Then his foot flat to the line to get to the timing line, and the provisional time is a 39, yeah, and that's quickly beat by Sanchez and Preem, who does a 38.2 in BMW. Brody Maynard sets a 39.5 in his Cadillac in that title fight. Watch for the qualifying gap between Brody and Leon. Still pushing. Albert Preem still sits at the top. Looking for purple sectors. Here we are. Brody Maynard has just set the purple sector 1 and is continuing to push on. Albert Preem's gone quicker in sector 1, but we're going to keep here with Brody. Brings it back up over the hill before another dip down. Double left-hander. Going to be a great opportunity for overtaking into that second section, I think, within your own class. And we might see a couple of dives on the GT3s as well. Albert Preem was fastest in that middle sector, but I believe that has been stolen away, although I'm looking at my other timing board and it doesn't think Albert was quickest, so it's all over the place. But Ayrton Kooijkoven has set that purple sector too. Right, Albert Preem across the line, as is Brody Maynard. Brody Maynard goes fastest. Albert Preem 3/10 off of what Brody did. And let's keep an eye on Ayrton Kooijkoven, the pro driver in the Cadillac today. Push to the line for Ayrton. Can he get any higher up the order? Surely he's going to with that purple sector. And it's P3 for Ayrton Kooijkoven. And I'm just going to try reloading trading paints because we've got a couple of guys who don't seem to have their usual livery. So we're going to hit re-download and then refresh. We have just hit 100% on that downloader. So we just wait for the paints to update. And it's going to start again, because of course it is. Anyway, let's keep an eye on Brody once again. Oh no, and Brody off the road. What happened to Brody Maynard after that purple sector 1? Let's take a look. Oh, Brody will feel, I believe, like the slow-moving BMW in front of him forced him to take evasive action. And let's just see if we can get an onboard of that incident. Yeah, Brody will feel perhaps like he was impeded there, and that's perhaps why it's been noted by race control. Eloy Caballero, in the meantime, has gone fastest. That was with a purple final sector. And Gutierrez goes to P2. Kooijkoven jumps back up to the top. Daniel Renek moved into what is now P4. And Brody's had a yellow sector 1. But remember, he had the purple sector 1 on the previous lap. But it's about 4/10 off what I've seen Sanchez Cachafiero do this lap. So Maynard struggling to find the pace he had on the previous lap. I wonder if this is more of a battery recharge lap. Elowau struggling in the Porsche, down in P11, is not what he needs in today's race at all. So lap 50, car 51, Albert Preem that is, lap 4 is under investigation. So if I'm not mistaken, that investigation is for the incident that we saw Brody go off the track. Jean-Paul Seaman, purple in sector 2. The reigning champion, well, the former reigning champion, that title will now be taken at the end of today's race by Maximilian Meyer, but is finding pace out there for Jean-Paul Seaman. Brody Maynard doesn't look like he's going to improve on this lap. Jean-Paul Seaman crosses the line. What is it from the Dutchman? P10 at the moment. Stays P10. The lap was invalidated by Jean-Paul Seaman. He'll be kicking himself about as he goes in deep at turn 1. Sanchez Cachafiero goes to provisional pole ahead of Eloy Caballero, and Brody Maynard manages to move up to P3 despite that yellow sector 1. So more pace in the car for Brody. What can he do to try and get onto perhaps even pole in the AM car would be mega impressive. The next AM car on the timing tower is Daniel Renek. And obviously the championship rival Leon Van Ellerwatt down in P14 is not where he needs to be. Ruben Stegemann teammates with Leon, as well as Sebastian, who obviously had that VR problem. And he's trying to get back going again and is back out on track, but off the pace a bit. So we'll just have to switch to a monitor if you can't get the headset working. And deep off the road for Ruben Stegemann, he moves to P3. So can his Porsche teammate get any higher? It's P9 at the moment for Leon. Eloy, purple in sector 2. in sector 1, green in sector 2. There's going to be time on the board here for the Spanish driver. Currently sits P2 just behind his, I believe, his teammate Sanchez, who is on the track as well, comes through the final corner, but is not going to improve on this lap. We wouldn't have thought with the yellow sectors. What can Brody do across the line? Brody Maynard improves the time, but doesn't move up the board. Eloy does move up the board, goes to pole position with a 34 flat in the Cadillac. So good pace from the Go Esports cars today. And good pace from the Cadillacs. Just look at the Cadillacs on the timing tower. Right, about 4.5 minutes, nearly just 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes down left in this session for GTP, sorry. There's a Caballero is back out on track, but he's going to struggle to get tyre temperature by the end of this lap. Brody Maynard has done a solid couple of sectors, but he's behind one of the Go Esports cars here, who is fighting for pole, at least fighting with that team for pole. But is that going to give him a nice tow down the start-finish straight here to the line? It's green and green for Brody, so nothing super spectacular, but potential here to improve on the current lap time as he comes across the timing line. It's a yellow final sector, unfortunately, for Brody, but moves him up to P2. Consistency is key. Not quickest of anybody anywhere on the track, but just consistently good across all three sectors. And that moves Brody up, who goes off track at the start of this qualifying attempt. So he's going to back off, I would have thought, here and have one more run at it. Eloy still on the outlap. Alvaro Gutierrez improves in P3, Preem improves in P5. Green flag message from race controller, a little bit delayed, I would have thought, but that'll be probably because Andy forgot to load the correct package for today's session. But Brody in P3, not improving this, like we said, obviously invalidated in sector 1. Sebastian improves, but doesn't, to P9, sorry, so clearly perhaps has got that headset back working once again, with the memes on the car as we're used to seeing for this team. Green in sector 1 only for Van der Heuvel, Koijkoven and Ben Grunewald on his most recent lap. No one else finding time out there. I think this is probably a cool lap for most of these cars until they can get to the line for a final push to finish off the session. All of these drivers looking for the best track conditions. Koijkoven from P10 improves up to P3. Mega improvement for the Cadillac driver. Sebastian up to P5. The track is improving massively. Still waiting on a couple of guys to come to the line. Sebastian pulls off the road. No improvement for him. What can Brody Maynard do in his fight with Leon, who is currently P10? Brody will want to move up the order. He's had the pace all day and does improve back up to P3 ahead of Ayrton Koikevin. Look how tight it is on the front 2 rows of the grid. Sanchez does not improve. Jean-Paul Seaman improves up to P6 for the Dutchman. That's a mega lap. A couple of drivers still out there pushing, but a couple of them also pulling over. Carlos Ponce still pushing on down in P12. Will be disappointed. Will want to be a little bit higher up the grid. And pulls into the pit lane for Carlos Ponce. Right, that's going to be it for GTP qualifying then, with all of our drivers now off the track. Eloy Caballero will take pole position ahead of Samir Rashad, Brody Maynard, Ayrton Koikevin, all within 700ths of each other at the front of the grid. Then we go to Sebastian, who had an impact at the start of the session, who is only also 1,000th ahead of Jean-Paul Seaman and 5,000ths ahead of Alvaro Gutierrez. Then comes Sergio Sanchez, Albert Preem, Ruben Stegeman, Leon Van Elwart, Pete Preens, Carlos Pons, Daniel Rene, Juanto Avale, Ben Groneveld, and Max Meyer, who didn't set a time in that session. Right, into warm-up then for today's race. We're going to keep an eye on the championship. I've just been told that my co-commentator is here, and yes, he is, Fox. Sorry, I didn't see you join the channel, and we're instantly interrupted by Andy.
When your class leader goes within the start zone, we ask the GT3 pole sitter, that is Vincenzo, congratulations, to leave roughly between a 20 and 25 second gap to the hypercar field. And for one final time this season, I hope you have a nice race.
Right, Andy, our race director, giving the final reminder. Fox, I know you weren't with us for qualifying, but what are you looking forward to in today's race?
I am looking forward to the close championship battles we're gonna have at the front of the. Is it the GTP Pro and the GT3 AM field, or do I have that backwards?
It's GTP AM and GT3 Pro would be tight, but I believe the championship leader has not actually turned up, so I think Vincenzo Sciarroce will have wrapped up the title. But pretty much every title is close if you don't look at the leader. So the leaders are close in a couple of categories, and everybody is close in all of the categories other than the leaders in, I think, like you said, Pro and Pro or something like that.
I think there was one that's like separated by like 20 points, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless of the point standings, I am looking forward to just close wheel-to-wheel action all around the track.
Yeah, we're going to get some good close fighting today. Sorry, Dad, my mic was muted and I clicked the button twice and it didn't unmute. We're going to get some good close fighting today, I think, which is going to be really interesting, and yeah, really looking forward to it. Right, before we get ready for today's race, we're going to show you a quick preview of what we're going to have for you next season. And no, we're not, because it's not filling the whole screen. Right, I'm going to fix that quickly. So that we can get it working, if possible. Oh, yeah. This is what happens when you only get sent a trailer halfway through the session. Right, we're going to try this a different way. I've got it set up on another screen, so just give me 1 quick second.
Please check lap 4. Block in qualifying.
I just saw. 20 seconds for Brody Maynard. Oh, he's going to get. Oh, they're too wide on the exit, and they're in the crowd. They're going to be 3 wide. Can he make the outside line work? He's going to have to try. Sticks it out too wide through the. It's closing down the inside for Brody Maynard. Can he keep it on the road? Yes, he can. Slots in nicely on the racing line ahead of his rival. What a move for Brody Maynard. That was a nice. And he's going to box Samir in behind the Acura GT3 there that you see on the outside of the 07 racing car. And that's a move for Albert Green into the lead of GTP. All right, everybody, we are back. Apologies for that. I'm just going to try and get everything back for you. It looks like I've maybe lost some audio channels. Fox, could you just speak for me and we'll see if you can hear?
Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Hello.
We've got Fox at least. That's all that matters, right?
Okay.
And I think we've now got iRacing audio as well. I've just found the channel. Sorry, everybody. That was a little bit rushed. Anybody who was in the briefing will know that we didn't quite have a trailer ready until about 20 minutes ago, and I had to load it all in, and I couldn't set up the scene in advance, so I was using the studio mode in OBS that I think I've only ever used once in my life. I'm just going to ask race control as well if they can hear us, if we could have a radar occasionally sent to us, because we are expecting some rain today towards the end of the race, but we are rolling now at the front of GTP. Eloy Caballero is your pole sitter, as we discussed. Samir Ishad is in P2, so Ferraris did find a little bit more pace towards the end of that session. While we're on this warm lap, we did do it in qualifying, but I'm just going to try and run some of you guys who missed that through our championship implications. So GT3 AM is wrapped up for Senna Bokhoven, who is unfortunately not here today, but the fight for P2 is still on between Villarejo, Steyan, Kuipers and Gak, and even Tiemann Scholten as well, so keep an eye on GT3 AM. GT3 Pro Vincenzo Soroche has now wrapped up that title due to the absence of Vincent Ossum, the championship leader going into today. He was not there for Spa, and he's not going to be here for Portimao, so he's going to lose the title, unfortunately, for the Porsche driver, but Vincenzo Soroche will have wrapped it up. Still though, Daniel Morphy not here, so Jeffrey Ross and Gregory Kohler have both got great opportunities to move up to P3 in the drivers' standings. GTPM, we talked about 3 points is the gap at the top of that class, Adrian. Leon Vanello leads Brody Maynard by 3 points, both with a drop rounds of 0 and 25. So that's very, very tight. We've got a lap incident under investigation already.
I saw a car spinning in the back. I don't know if that was of their own volition or if they had help.
I'm just trying to find it. That's this incident here, which Ruben Stegemann and Pete Greens. Ruben in the Cadillac went spinning, and did Ruben clobber the curb there? Let's take another look.
It looked like he just took too much curb.
Yeah, got on the sausage, unfortunately. I will go to race control. Not sure how they'll view that one, but let's go back to live. Make sure we don't miss the start of any action here today. We talked about that drop round of 0 for Leon Vanello, a drop round of 25 so far for Brody Maynard, so it's going to come round down to who finishes ahead of who on track, although Brody will have probably moved just ahead of him after those qualifying results are added. Pete Preens in P3, Nicole Monti P4, Ben Gronebel, Carlos Pons, and all in a close battle for the final position in the title. And then Eloy Caballero is just under 30 points ahead of his teammate Sanchez Cachafiero in the pro title, with Samir Rashad another 9 points behind Cachafiero. So very, very close in pro for the second for the runner-up positions. Right, getting ready to go green here. We put the standings on the screen, but we're going to go to class 1 because I think we can fit them all on the screen like this, and we need to keep a very, very close eye on that championship fight, and Brody Maynard runs P3, so it just makes a lot of sense to have them all on the board at the moment. Remember, Brody very, very close now with Leon Vanello in the title, but starts a long way up the grid compared to him, and Eloy Caballero waits for the start zone to get this race underway, and he's gone with green here at Portimao for the final of the Anstel Racing IMSA Series, and Albert Preem has been black flagged. Not sure what that's for. There's another incident under investigation, that's Caballero, so I'm not sure what Eloy is under investigation for. That could be a starting infringement. Yeah, GTP start is under review.
Can you please check my black flag?
P. Preen's asking for the black flag to be checked. GT3 still not out at the final corner. Philippe Sebastian, Carlos Pons and Sanchez Cachafiero have all come together. Brody Maynard has dropped down the order with a slightly patient start from the Englishman. And we're side by side in the braking zone behind Daniel Renek, now behind Carlos Pons. There's more contact in the back. That's Leon Vanello, he's losing ground as well. And I believe we're getting ready to go green in GT3. There's lots of people getting black flagged in GTP, so we'll keep an eye on that and see what that's for. Vincenzo Soroche then has gone in this reduced size GT3 field down into turn 1. He's going to be easily in the lead. It's side by side behind. That's Jeffrey Ross and Fabio Gibrino going at it. The Acura on the inside, trying to make some ground up on the very strong Mustangs here today. It's going to be the time to make an impact if he can. Inside becomes outside though. He's able to carry the speed. Can he get in the toe of the pink DLR Mustang to try and get ahead? But the Mustang on the inside, that orange DLR Mustang, so strong on the brakes and pulls back ahead. Albert Preem looking for a strong defense here down the straight because he's going to get railroaded here. Daniel Renek is on the outside, tucked back up behind him is Max Meyer, who didn't qualify in this race and is trying to go from last to first, and he's got to swoop around the outside of Albert Preem. It's 2 for the price of 1 for Max Meyer, the championship winner. And that was a hectic opening lap and a half to the race. Pete Preens is on the radio. We're going to try and look at what happened to the drivers that have been put under investigation, because there's a lot to look at here. Firstly, this is a first incident in GTP that isn't the start that's under review, and hard to tell from that angle. We jumped to it just a little bit late, unfortunately. Let's see if we can take a look from onboard. Oh, too late once again. Let's take one more look. And really need to see what happened in front, I think, to see why the Go Esports car was off the road, but bad for all of those drivers involved, unfortunately.
Hard to tell if the Go Esports was off the road or if they were just taking as much curbing as possible, and if they just came together, because it's a bit of a weird one, because that is on the apex of the corner coming off, so you would kind of expect the car to be there, and then looking over here, we see someone had an off.
Sorry, this has not jumped back to what I thought it was. This is what happened to Carlos Pons.
I didn't see it. I'm just passing the message. She doesn't have the button. Thanks.
Oh! Not sure if there was contact there, but Carlos Pons, wow, very lucky to not escape that with a bit more damage. Now, let's have a look at what happened to Alvaro Gutierrez. In the hairpin, really wide on the exit, and looks like he's going to have some sort of problem. And the same thing that happened to his teammate. The Cadillac setup on the Go Esports car is clearly just getting a little bit loose on the cold tyres. This is what happened to Pete Preens, who was, remember, in contention for the title and drops it coming over the hill. The cold tyres proving to be pretty deadly here on the opening laps in GTP.
I wonder if it is a combination of cold tires and the elevation, or setup change, because it is a bit of a weird thing to lose it in some of these places. As
Eloy Caballero is being black flagged. I believe that is because for the start incident. That is for the race start, not going in the start zone, perhaps. Sorry, we're going to take a look at this again. We got a little bit distracted there. This is Leon Van Elewot, who, remember, is fighting for the title and gets past Daniel Renek, as Daniel Renek made a mistake.
Renek locking up and just going wide, opening up the door for Alloway to come through.
I believe is that Brody Maynard who's just made a move?
It is Brody who's made a move.
So, yeah, P5 now for Brody, still a little bit off where he started, but he said in the chat that it was a mega qualifying lap. GTP pole sitter was not running the pit limiter, we're told by race control.
Oh.
Perhaps, so if we can get confirmation from race control that that's what the black flag is for, that would be appreciated. Eloy and Jean-Paul Seaman is up to P3 now, so what happened to... I cannot even remember what the starting order was in this race now. It's just been absolutely chaotic. Jean-Paul Seaman has made up 4 positions so far today. That's what's thrown me a little bit. So we'll see if we can find some of those moves for Jean-Paul Seaman, although a lot of it was done on the opening lap. But tight in this GTP field, which are not far away now from the GT3s. I think Eloy Caballero is going to have to serve this drive-through this time by. So don't be surprised to see the leader pull into the pit lane. But stays out.
Next time by then, okay.
Eloy needs to make sure he serves this before he hits the traffic so he can try and avoid the worst of it and let the other cars suffer a little bit behind the GT3s.
He's catching the GT3 field very rapidly. I would have imagined he would have went in to serve his drive-through then, because the rest of the field would have been slowed down by...
Max Meyer goes around the outside of Ruben Schegerman. Sorry for the interruption there. The driver who started on the back road, the grid has made up 11 places, is now in P6 and is, well, at this rate, on track for a win. But the work gets harder as you move through the field, don't forget. But will now have his eyes set on the points. Now points leader after Sebastian van der Heuvel on lap 1 is given a time penalty, I believe. Unsafe rejoin. Gave up any advantage. I'm a bit confused by that. If they thought he gave up... I think the penalty's been reduced because he gave up any advantage he gained through his unsafe rejoin. Is that what race control is saying? Again, it'd be nice if we could get
That
confirmation from
might
race
be
control. I think
That
that's
might be
it.
the case
Yeah.
because an unsafe rejoin the race control does not take kindly to unsafe rejoin, where a driver has to take avoiding action, has to take any action to that changes the dynamic of the race and stuff. Cabinero comes in to serve his drive-through.
Yeah, so Jean-Paul...
So I imagine...
Sorry, so Jean-Paul Seaman then takes the lead, and they caught one car on that previous lap, but look how slow Jean-Paul Seaman's having to go behind this traffic. So Carlos Ponce would be loving, if he's watching any of this footage, he'll be loving that he can see these cars that he's just served his drive-through. That he was racing, of course, but he's now seeing them hit this traffic, and they're going to get the worst of it, as the leaders always do. Maynard then is back up to 4th, but Jean-Paul Seaman with well, it was a healthy lead. It was 1.6 seconds going into this lap. He's now down to just 7/10 ahead of Samir Rashad. As Jean-Paul Seaman, as we always see the leader getting by far the worst of the traffic, because they're the ones building the gaps in the GT3, and the Acura goes defensive there, doesn't want to give up his inside line at the top of the hill, and Jean-Paul Seaman is going to have to go around the outside then of Melvin Gack, and maybe the Acura playing the team game there to help Samir Rashad, who goes off the road. The P2 driver misses the braking zone and is off the road and comes back on, and race control may not be happy with that rejoin, because it looked like to me like Ayrton Kooijkanen had to take some avoiding action. Let's take a look at Samir Rashad here going off the road. So we saw this, gets past his GT3 teammate, who may have slightly held up the championship leader, and Samir Rashad is gonna
check rejoins, Samir.
just go off the road, and I can hear Ayrton on the radio asking for the rejoin to be checked, and well, it's hard to say what else he could have done, and you know, he had to get back on, but you know, he didn't want to lose any positions. I think is key here, and I can see you can't blame Ayrton for having a go, can you? Like, you're going to ask the race director to check the replays. Max Meyer moves up to P4 overall with a move similar to what he did last time. Bai is now round the outside of the AM Championship fight. Let's take a look at that move, because that was impressive again, using the traffic to his advantage again. I think, yeah, found a gap on the inside that Brody Maynard was maybe held up a little bit by the GT3s, and Max Meyer goes round the outside. Mega pace from the German driver today. Sebastian's made a pit stop here. We missed this. This was last time by Sebastian making a pit stop, doing what his teammate has done a few times this season and getting out of that traffic as early as possible. Albert Preem fighting with Ruben Stegemann for P6 here, as Daniel Renek is also fighting Sanchez Cachafiero further down the order. And in fact, it was Sanchez who got past Daniel Renek. Let's take a look at how that happened. Probably using the traffic once to get to his advantage. Yeah, as Renek slots in behind some traffic. It's close racing here. This is what happens when the GT3s don't want to give up any positions. And down the inside, and Daniel Renek follows Sanchez through. Daniel Renek gets the nose down the inside, but can't make it work on the brakes. And that was the move done for Sanchez. Race incident, race controller said they're happy with the rejoin. Probably don't feel like there was much else that Samir Rashad could have done. That won't be what Ayrton wants to hear, but he's still closed up a lot. And I'll tell you who else is closed up is Maximilian Meyer. Ayrton going defensive, goes all the way to the inside of the track to try and keep the yeah, that'll be, I think race control will want to have a look at that, or Max Meyer will want race control to have a look at that, as he runs into the back of Kooijkanen mid-corner, and it's all tightened up in this GTP field now that they've really hit the big traffic. You can see Brody Maynard just behind this is now under threat from Ruben Stegemann.
Is very eager trying to get by.
Is Ruben going to go down the inside and try and help out his teammate in the title? He can't find a gap. And all the time, Leon is closing in on these two. Brody's gone backwards on this race start, and Leon has gone forwards. It means they're only a couple of cars apart now. we missed this a couple of minutes ago, but race control confirming that Sebastian's penalty was reduced because he gave back any the position that he gained by completing an unsafe rejoin. Max Meyer still on the attack here, and is a little bit closer than he was last time. And Ayrton gets a little bit loose, and Max is gonna just stick in the slipstream here.
That is smart by Max to hold off at this section. I'd imagine he would try to make a move in 8-10 or wait for the front stretch.
Yeah, turn 1 is probably the best overtaking opportunity, or in fact up here up the hill is a good opportunity as well. And he's going to try it down the inside. No, he's not, just trying to scare Ayrton off the road a little bit.
Yeah, very common tactics. Just showing your nose, just seeing what the driver does by just putting your nose.
Oh, and down the inside.
Maybe he's going for the move.
And he's got to complete the move unless Ayrton can hang on around the outside. The outside line does become the inside again, and Ayrton slots briefly back ahead. Is he going to be able to stay ahead? It's really difficult. Who can lay the power down best through this final corner? And Ayrton comes right onto the curb to try and get ahead, and he is going to be ahead. Sebastian Van Hoovel gets a 10-second time penalty for a collision in turn 3. That's a lap 1 incident. But Meyer now is going to have a tow all the way down the straight, and it's tightening up behind this battle as well.
For it.
Down the inside, heavy on the brakes. Can he get the move done? Koikoven has to go off the road and sweeps back ahead of Meyer, who's going to go down the inside again at turn 3, side by side on the exit. We've seen Meyer do this one before, round the outside, because that inside line just doesn't have the grip, and he gets the move done, and Brody's going to try and take an opportunistic move of this, and Brody now has the inside line on Koikoven, who defended perhaps a little bit too hard against Meyer, and has now lost another position on the road, and Ruben Stegemann is going to be next to have a go, surely here. As Brody is now ahead on the brakes. Can Koikoven fight back? No, he can't. Brody gets it done on the brakes. Can he keep this position for the rest of the lap and try and follow Meyer up the road a little bit? And watch that, the DLR driver of Albert Preem is going to have a look down the inside of Ruben Stegemann, it looks like, and can't find a gap. This battle is so close at in the top, well, for P4, isn't it, on the road now, with Max Meyer now ahead of Koikoven and now Brody.
I was ahead. And in the inside.
Gutierrez not happy and says he was ahead. He doesn't know what happened. There was contact between, I believe that's with a GT3 and a GTP driver. Let's take a look at that.
This
well.
Oh yeah. And yeah, immediately under investigation by race control.
Albert Preem closest to a move here, it looks like, in the BMW, but lacking the straight line speed and can't get it done into turn 1. Got your top speeds on the screen there, and Albert Preem actually 325 kilometers an hour, but remember he's at the back of this big line. Yeah. Remember, those top guys haven't really been in the tow as much as some of these others, which will be making a little bit of a difference.
Actually, Max Bear, quickest driver by 5. I missed that. Oh.
Perhaps running a little bit less aero because he knows his race today is dependent on moving through the field. And you can see just how many positions now that Max Meyer has gained in this race. Up 14. Eloy Caballero down
showing his
10.
nose. Preem showing his nose, trying to see if he can intimidate Stugerman ahead.
Brody had pulled away a little bit, but looks like he's had a little bit of a moment here, and Koikoven got a little bit closer. That gap is 8 tenths. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but the gap from Ayrton down to Preem is less than 8 tenths. So we've got 3 cars in the same space as the 2 in front. So Brody doing a good job. Now he's back ahead of Ayrton to try and pull away. No lift through the final corner for Preem. Can he keep it pointed forwards and try and get the move done in the braking zone? But he's just a little bit cautious, so I don't know if Preem playing the fuel game here Remember, we're expecting rain with about 15 minutes to go at the end of this race. So another hour and we should be on a wet track. So build yourself a buffer now, because then you can afford to be pitting on the wrong lap, say. That is what Jean-Paul Seaman is doing, and Preem, as he's done quite a few times now actually, just showing his nose, showing that he's there, not letting Ruben pull away too much. Our GT3 leaders have bunched up a little bit this lap as well. Alex Ott now right on the back of the championship leader. Oh, and a little mistake there from Soroche, who goes wide, but Ott not able to take advantage of it, as Ross is also closing up. I wonder if there's some fuel games going on here as well. Race control can hear us. An updated weather forecast would be appreciated.
It might be far too early for anything to be on the radar.
Albert Preem is past, and Ruben Stegemann was off the road there.
Stegemann was sideways on the
contact? This is a replay of what happened. This is how Albert Preem got by. I'm not seeing any contact showing up. Oh, and off the road all by himself.
On skill and pace alone, incredible. Weird. It's a weird place to drop it like that. Did he get on the power too soon, or?
That was really weird. It's like there was no air on the car at all, no grip. But Ruben Stegemann, bossy 15-second time penalty for causing a collision with a GTP. That's the incident that we saw where, was it Caballero was on the radio sort of saying, I was ahead, what's going on?
Yes, yeah, that was the Draken GT3 with Carbonero being spun across the nose.
That's your rain radar, sorry. I've just been told, yeah, that's moved forwards a little bit, hasn't it? 81% chance in 35 minutes. So I think if I was a driver, I think you're probably going to stretch 100% 15 minutes after that, so 100% in about 50 minutes. So I think people are going to be stretching out this stint, going to dry tyres or staying on the same set of dry tyres you would have thought, and then going to wets after that to try and give themselves as much flexibility. You want to stretch out this stint as long as you can then. Preem, after making, not quick work of Stegemann, but getting past Stegemann with the mistake, is now looking for a move on Koikeven, and Koikeven was held up there a little bit by the GT3.
Held up.
This is a good opportunity for Preem in the BMW, but he backs off a little bit through the final corner. Can he build up some momentum down the straight in the toe of the car ahead? And Koikeven's dropped back from Maynard. This could be crucial. Maynard not giving Koikeven anywhere near as much of a toe as he was on previous laps, but the BMW just not strong enough on the brakes to make a move on the Cadillac ahead.
I think Preem is just braking earlier than some of the other drivers, because he has the pace and he is like on his brakes into 2, into 3, into 4, where he can get alongside these drivers. Preem looking on the outside, can't do anything with it. So I don't know if that is if it's a strategy thing or if it's a setup thing where he's braking early in 1.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's fuel. He just wants to sit behind other cars as much as possible. Because you would have thought there's been at least 2 opportunities in the last lap for Preem to at least have a go.
Yeah, because he can get right against the gearbox of some of these other drivers, and he is on his brakes as much as possible. As we watch here, look how close he is there on. That's not as much of a heavy braking zone. But some of the braking zones, the slower corners, he's just right on their gearbox the entire time. Then they get on the back straight. Then he's braking early. I don't know if it is a setup thing or if it's something completely different.
Carlos Villarejo down the inside of Casper Hu.
Casper coming back.
Fighting back, yeah. He's going to get back down the inside, it looks like it.
Oh.
and does so in is that a cheese puff livery, McLaren?
Is that chicken nuggets?
Or chicken nuggets? Yeah, chicken nuggets. And it's ahead. And Albert Preem has just got past Ayrton Koikov, and this is how it happened. He threatened to do this a few laps ago, pulls out down the inside at the hairpin. Patient today from Albert Preem, but high percentage moves, gets ahead of the Cadillac driver, and will now chase after Brody Maynard for P4 overall. Already P4 in class, but we want to get past the AM driver, who's having an absolutely stellar day to try and win the championship.
Again, going back to my thing of he was much more braver on those brakes, so he's doing something into one that I just don't understand.
Sanchez trying to get past Ruben Stegemann here, who has dropped off the pace a little bit since he had the half spin. And Sanchez looks like he's going to have a good run here. Picks up the throttle nicely. Simon Van Ruyen has just entered the pit lane in GT3 AM for his first stop after 25 minutes in this race.
That seems a bit early, is it not?
Yeah, I wonder if he's just going to go now and... Oh, it's very... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe go now... I'm trying to think when we'd normally see stops about 25 minutes in, actually, wouldn't we? It's very early relatively. I'm surprised he's not extended this stint to give himself the most flexibility for when he puts the rain tyres on.
Race control, check the contact at the hairpin.
Scholten asking for contact to be checked. That's because he's just been battling with Melvin Gak. And Scholten keeps Melvin Gak down. Oh, and a little bit of contact on the straight there.
That's nothing. That's nothing.
The GTP sweeps by and Tiemann is ahead. Melvin Gak is not happy. He's on the lights asking what is going on.
J. Carlos, just so you know, we cannot
That's good hard racing. That's nothing. Race control, I wouldn't imagine. They'll look at that and be like, toss it aside.
Well, I think he asked someone to look at contact at the hairpin, and we're approaching the hairpin, so I think Melvin Gak's going to have a go down the inside from a long way back. And yeah, does so.
Oh yeah, okay. See now that's a bit more.
You see how brave drivers get when they're pissed off?
You get into just a completely different mindset when you're upset, when you're angry, and you think you've been wronged, and you're like, I need my position back. I need to get this position, and you just lock in a way that is unusual, and you make these interesting moves sometimes, so to say. I know I have done so. I know George has done so. I know Andy from Race Control has done so. It's just so
lots of drivers. Lots of drivers now into the pits.
Very would not expect.
There we go.
Is that
in GT3 just for leaders staying out now?
I wonder if they're trying to manage traffic at the same time.
I don't know, we're about 25 minutes from the first bit of rain, so maybe you just get in and fuel up now. I suppose this is about where we'd expect GT3 pit stops anyway, so maybe get in now and fuel up to try and go.
Yeah, 26. Yeah, now you would expect them.
And you know, if we're about 25 minutes away from that rain, you can now do one more tank and it should just get you to the rain, but it might not be wet enough at that second stop unless you can extend this first stint a little bit more to actually put the wet tyres on. So the GTPs are doing a good job of stretching out this stint as Jean-Paul Siemens stays out yet another lap while setting the fastest lap of the race.
Incredible. As that tank empties, the car gets lighter, the car gets faster. So that's not that surprising to be setting the fastest lap this late. This late into the stint.
Oh, Ruben with a little wobble on the brakes. Sorry, that's out. Oh. Sanchez Cachafiero got by. And I'll tell you what, Ruben's fought back down the start-finish straight into turn one. I think there's... Oh, no, pulls off the road. That's why. That's how he got back by. So Sanchez into the pit lane. That's going to be earlier than he wanted. Like we just mentioned, the longer you can stay out here, the more chance you have of making it to the rain in your second stint.
Yeah, I would rather suffer earlier to then have more tires and make that transition period.
You remember as well, you pit when you're already up to full speed down the start finish straight, and you come back out racing cars that are at full speed. So it's a lot. You lose a lot of time in the pit lane here. So even if you're losing a second a lap, 2 seconds a lap in this first stint fuel saving, you could easily make that back if you don't have to make an extra stop for wet tires.
And if you don't have to wait if you don't have to wait for wet tires, and if you don't have to manage fuel in the second stint or the third stint.
Sorry to interrupt, Adrian. Racing out at the pit lane exit here, and it's side by side for the lead, and it has been for most of this lap in GT3 Pro. Alex Ott is trying to get by Vincenzo Soroche, and Jeffrey Ross is just waiting for this to go wrong behind. Inside line now for Vincenzo Soroche, but Alex Ott is going to pull ahead. Can he make it stick under braking? No, he can't, but he's got a switchback on the other Mustang car. 3 Mustangs all fighting for the lead here. Can Alex Ott hold it around the outside now and get his foot down nice and early? Remember, traction control and ABS in these cars, so it's all about picking the best line and using and you know, racing and choosing the best bit of track to be on. They're still side by side. They have been for most of this lap. And I tell you who's going to have a look into turn 1. Surely it's going to be Jeffrey Ross, because he's going to pick up a mega tow here when neither of these cars are. And Alex Ott is pulling ahead just ever so slightly, carrying more speed around the outside line in the final corner, but can't get it done on the brakes. So side by side, sweeps ahead, does he? He needs to get ahead by turn 2, otherwise down the inside it's going to be for Vincenzo Soroche in turn 3. Still side by side, they're losing time, hand over fist to the other cars around, and Jeffrey Ross is going to have a look here, as he knows he's not. Alex Ott on the inside line, pulls ahead nicely off the road for Vincenzo Soroche, sorry. And we are going to be 3 wide nearly down into the hairpin and back ahead for Vincenzo Soroche, but it's inside line for Alex Ott, who is going to be ahead now surely, and is a full car ahead of Vincenzo Soroche. And now Jeffrey Ross having a look at Vincenzo Soroche side by side with the once race leader and the pole sitter, and he's got to try and follow his DLR teammate through, but can't get it done. It's Vincenzo Soroche down into P2, but keeps P2 as the rain is moving ever closer.
Sarge is still having to go defensive against Jeffrey Ross.
And Brody Maynard comes through on the inside of Jeffrey Ross, and that's going to cost him a little bit of time. Jeffrey is not going to be very happy here. Can he do the same thing on Vincenzo Soroche, who will then lose time? Yes, he does. And Vincenzo Soroche is going to now be under threat from Jeffrey Ross once again, as a lot of our leaders are into the pit lane. Top 5 all into the pit lane now. Is Brody Maynard going to follow them in this lap? You would have thought so.
If Brody doesn't follow them in, then that might slow down Ott a bit. If he goes in, that's going to be beneficial.
Brody stays out. Brody stays out. Yeah, that's what he needs to do if he wants to try and secure this championship position, because this is going to give him a big advantage when it comes to the rain later on.
This is what I was talking about. Suffering in the first stint to set yourself up for the later stints. I'd imagine.
Oh, sorry. Is Brody Maynard already pitted? I'm seeing one pit stop for Brody Maynard. Sorry, Brody pit on lap 19. So Brody pit a lap before the others, and has jumped some cars here. It looks like to me, Brody Maynard, because he's 2 seconds ahead of Samir Rashad. Wow, he's done a very good job there. He was behind Max, he was behind Samir. So how's he managed to jump those 2 cars? I'm looking at... Let's see if we can look at pit lane time and get that up on the board somewhere. But you can see pit lane time there for the drivers that have pitted. Maynard in the pits for 47 seconds. Ashad in the pits for 58 seconds. 58? And Maya... no pit stop time yet. That's probably because he pitted this lap, so we've not got the data just yet. See if I can just find it for you anyway. Maya, according to my other data, was in the pits for 53 seconds. So Brody Maynard, 10 seconds slower in the pits. Did some of these other drivers take tyres, maybe? Rain expected in 25 minutes. So
the other drivers take time.
Just briefly, we quickly pitted about 30 minutes into this race. So anybody that pitted after So we should get to the rain. It's just whether we get enough rain for rain tyres by that second stop now. In GT3, it's going to be much more difficult. I'm not sure how Brody's managed to have such a quicker pit stop. I'm going to see if I can see his actual stationary time somewhere. Pit time for Maynard was 13 seconds. All of the other drivers for 24 seconds. So less fuel for Brody maybe, or not taking tyres.
No tire, but are tires 10 seconds? I don't imagine they're 10
but it's
full seconds.
I think it probably is, to be honest. But remember, you have because you're not filling a full tank here. You can't do them while you're changing. You can't do them while you're just filling fuel, which is what you can normally do if you fill a full tank. Really weird here. That is 10 seconds difference. That's quite a lot less. Sebastian Van der Heuvel, who pitted a lot earlier than some of these other guys, was only stationary for 9 seconds, but that's because he'd used less of the fuel in the tank. But maybe Brody pitting a lap earlier needed a little bit less fuel, as Alvaro Gutierrez has gone off the road after exiting the pit lane.
This would be cold tires.
I don't know if this is cold tyres then. Yeah, you would have thought so. We're not seeing it yet. Is it going to be where we've seen a couple? Oh, wow. Just snapped under braking.
Is that the same place we've seen the other Go Esports cars lose it earlier in the race?
But it's a similar sort of. It's a similar sort of like up and down undulation in the track. So just these cars just getting loose on the cold tyres for Go Esports cars. Sanchez here looking for a move on Preem. Preem held up by the GT3, and yeah, a lot of speed for Sanchez down the straight. And he's got to box Preem in behind the leader, the runner-up now in GT3, but can't get it done. And Alex Ott, as we've just noticed, that's Alex Ott just ahead, as Sanchez gets the move done, has pulled 2 seconds nearly on Vincenzo Soroche now.
Traffic management. I believe a lot of that was from Ott getting the GTPs while he's on the straight to the detriment of Sriracha. Yeah.
Race control saying that Brody did not take tyres, and but I'm just checking that means that the other drivers did. Incident under investigation. Sebastian Van der Heuvel and Albert Preem. Let's take a look here, and this is the wrong driver. This is Sebastian.
And Preem?
I'm not seeing Albert Preem. Is this on pit lane exit? No, it's not.
No.
Race control? If you could confirm to us what we're supposed to be looking at here. I think this is the incident that they actually wanted to look at. And it's logged the wrong car. It's this pulling out from behind the car, yeah. Seaman did take tyres. And he was stationary for 24 seconds. So anyone that was stationary for 24 seconds was taking tyres. So that's everybody apart from Brody Maynard taking tyres then.
They are investigating turn 1 with Sanchez. Okay. So
let's take a look then. So it was this overtake that race control aren't happy about, and it's in turn 1 that Preem asked for it to be investigated, but I'm seeing no action from race control. Oh no, that's not what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I see what it's. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Okay. So Brody Maynard not taking tyres in. I'm just going to keep an eye on the last lap pace, and Brody Maynard faster than Ashad on pace with Maya, and a couple of attempts slower than Seaman. So right now, that bet playing off for Brody, especially since these drivers are all going to have to change to wet tyres, we would have thought at the next stop, or at least a stop after that. Preem trying to fight back, but Sanchez, like you say, with the inside. And Preem's going to hang it around the outside. This is where the Go Esports car struggled a couple of laps ago, remember? And, make a grit on the outside line for Cadillac, but Preem A little wiggle for the Go Esports car of Sanchez, and Preem gets the power down nicely and he's back ahead, and Sebastian into the pit lane for his second stop.
Please check the contact to push me off.
Sanchez not happy, wants the contact, but we just saw checked.
Come on, that's nothing.
You just had contact in turn one. I mean, you know.
It's all fine.
Yeah, race control saying they're watching it live and it's all fine. So, that was the message from Andy there. We get an updated radar as well if you're listening then, Andy. Eloy Caballero is on the back of... Apologies, Eloy Caballero is on the back a little bit of Ruben Stegman, but it's dropped back a little bit. Ayrton Koikoven's had a problem. This is what happened to Ayrton. Already looks a little bit loose coming out of the corner there. But the problem is going to be down into the hairpin, it looks like. Oh, cold tyres.
Ooh,
Turns in, no grip.
Too fast for tires. They're no grip.
Updated radar on screen. We're very, very close to that first pocket of rain. It looks like that first little bit may be survivable. It looks a little bit patchy before we hit the big wall of green. And Samir Shad has also had a moment. What's happened to Samir, the driver that was running P3, is still running P3, but has lost a little bit of time with this moment here. Is he going to be in the braking zone where he saw him go off a few laps into the race? And yes, it is.
Yeah, similar thing with Ayrton.
This is a risk with cold tyres. You know, you know, he was marginally quicker than Brody, but has just lost 5 seconds with that spin. So, you know, it's looking like a well thought out strategy here for Brody if his tyres will last into the rain. I suppose the risk is if Brody needs to put fresh tyres on at the next stop, which I would imagine he won't do, but if he did, cold tyres on a slightly damp track would be a bit of a nightmare. Vincenzo Soroche, who has not dropped any further back now as they're lapping as Quinton Bossi in the Joachim Racing Ferrari. Vincenzo Soroche not fallen any further back from Alex Ott, but Jeffrey Ross still hassling him. Rain in 15 minutes is the new message from race control.
In 15 minutes, that is the light rain and not the heavy rain that the drivers are expecting. So this is when the track conditions will become messy. That light rain will throw strategy out the window, and we will see what drivers stay on the dries, what drivers stay on the wet, and how long they stay on each on the compounds.
You can see the GT3 pit strategies there, and 14 laps the drivers made it on the in fact, can we put pit stop time in? No, that's actual pit stop time. Okay, let's put in pit stop lap then. So these drivers pitting on lap 14 and 15, and we're now and we've done another 8 laps since then. So halfway through this stint, which means they've probably got another 10 minutes left, 15 minutes left. So these guys are gonna probably just pit right before the rain gets here, which is not gonna be good for them if they have to pit and stay on dry tyres and then all make another stop. So keep an eye on that and see if any. We'll keep you updated on the tyre choice as well to see if anybody goes for the wets in that second stop and just accepts that they're gonna be a little bit slow on the first.
Yeah.
You
can take the gamble and hit for wets,
especially if you're further back, right?
Second.
I think we're going to see some drivers definitely take that risk.
But it all depends on when that rain hits during the second stint, because you can very easily overheat those tires, shred those tires, and you are gonna have to take another pit. You're gonna have to pit again for more wets, or get back on the dries, or whatever. So I imagine some of these drivers might be wanting to try to extend the second stint.
Moment for Eloy Caballero. And is he going to lose it on the cold tyres? No, he's not. So is it going to be a repeat of what we've seen just a few laps ago? Yeah, it is unstable.
Yep. Very unstable. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, down the inside for Albert Preem as we jump back to live images at the hairpin. Can Albert make it stick on the exit? Just needs to sweep to the inside and pull a full and clear the car behind, and he does so. So Preem, having dispatched Sanchez, now moves ahead of Koikoven and will set after Max Meyer, who is now 14 seconds up the road and is getting ready to hassle Samir Rashad for what is currently the P3 position. And it even has a look down the inside of the Ferrari driver and then going to switch back to the other inside on the Ferrari driver, but can't make it work. It's going to be a good run down the straight here, you would have thought.
He might make the move down into one. Max has been very quick today.
Yeah, good top speed in this Cadillac, and you can see how much he gains through the acceleration zone, and he's already going to be alongside. And this car is set up for top speed today because he's going to get it alongside by the time we get to the braking zone to pull ahead. And that's Rain. That's Rain in turn one now. Rain on the camera in turn one. Rain visible on the zoomed in map as well is what we're told from race control. If we could get a copy of that zoomed in map, that would be brilliant. But Max Meyer gets a move done on the brakes in the slippery conditions.
That is Rain in turn one. So that is going to make the turn one and I imagine very quickly two and what is the one just across? Oh, yes, okay. So if the rain's coming from there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8 are going to be the corners to get slippery quickly. And that will make things very interesting because if half the track is wet, half the track is dry, what's the call? Do you stay on the dry compound to better yourself on the drier parts of the track? Do you start to think about hitting for wets because of those slicker, more slidey parts of the track?
I think this all depends on if you're in the championship battle and where your rivals are. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Leon Elowat take a risky strategy here because Brody Maynard currently runs P2 and is in the pit lane for his second stop of the day. So Brody into the pits. This is going to be tricky for Brody if he has to go to the wets this early. But Rain is now covering more of the track. It's moving constantly. Yeah. Brody runs P2 a long way ahead of Leon. He can afford to lose a little bit of time. He doesn't need an overall podium today. He needs to finish ahead of Leon. That's the challenge for Brody as it up on the jacks for Maynard.
Does he take tires?
Well, up on the jacks, you would assume so. The track is currently all getting rained on, but it's classified as mostly dry, we're told by race control, and it is the wet tyres.
Brody has wets?
For Brody, yeah. On the timing tower, you can see switch to the wet tyre for Brody Maynard.
I like the thinking because if the tires start to overheat,
and he's going to be a little bit slow, isn't he? I think before he gets fully wet.
He's going to be a bit slow, yes.
But he's got time to burn. Remember, he was running P2 and his championship rival was down in P9. So he can go a little bit slower until this rain comes in, but he can play it carefully here. The rain has hit just after the halfway point in the season finale. We're going to get a cracking finish for this race. We've had some good proper racing at the start of the race, and now it's going to be a skill challenge on the rain.
I do wonder, this should also help Brody heat up the tires. If parts of the track are still dry, that will get temperature into those tires quickly, and then if the conditions quickly turn in his favor, the puddles and just streaks of water will keep those wets at optimum temperature. Brody might have made the right call at the right time.
Hey, car 25, put me out on the track.
He needs to get temperature into them, but not too much temperature. Doesn't want to overheat and burn up the rubber. Sanchez into the pit lane as well. Keep an eye on that driver to see if he changes tyres as well. We would have thought you'd go to the wet surely if you're pitting now. Kohler and Villarejo in GT3 also now onto the wets in pit lane, and I would expect Team and Scholten to make the same move. And you can see now a fair amount of spray coming off the back of this Cadillac, so it's definitely moving towards wet tyre conditions. Looking at the sector times, Brody was 2 seconds slower, than the leader in sector 2, but then 3 seconds quicker than some of the other cars in sector 3. So the track definitely moving towards him, and I think this was a safe bet for Brody. You don't want to stay out and you don't want to bin it on the dries. It could cost you dearly. He made it to the half race distance, so we can do this race on one more fuel stop, which is crucial. He didn't want to pit before the fuel window, but we're now fully in green rain, by the way. We'll get that updated radar on there for you, fully in the green rain now, so it is going to continue to get wetter from this point onwards. Brody just a couple of seconds off the leaders and only a couple of tenths off the guys in front of him on the track that through sector 1 this time by on the wets, and everybody else coming in for the wets now. Maya and Ashad both into the pit lane, so Brody, I would expect, maybe will fall behind Maya and maybe Ashad once his pit cycle is complete with the time that he lost on those wet tyres. But remember, everybody else is coming out onto a much wetter track. Brody's had a bit of time to get used to this wet rubber already, so he could gain a little bit through the opening stage of this race. John Paul Seaman stayed out, by the way. Let's see if he can keep it on the road, as everybody else behind him so far has come to the pit lane this time by.
John Paul feels that the track is not quite there for wets, which I don't blame him. It might. The transition period isn't.
There's no grip here. Yeah. He's fully off the throttle. This could cost Jean Paul Seaman. He had a fair margin to burn. He was about 5 or 6 seconds ahead, I think, of Brody before the pit stop. In fact, perhaps it was more than that. I remember seeing maybe something up to about 10, 11 seconds. And look, just hunting for the grip on the inside here, not going on the slippery, rubbered in a line on the outside of a track. But this is slow now through this final sector. And Brody Maynard did a 42.5 in the middle sector, which was half a second quicker in the middle sector than the race leader, and was half a second quicker in sector 1 than the race leader. So the wet tyre is definitely the right tyre to be on right now. Out of the pit lane, Samir Ashad, Albert Preem, so Max Meyer and Samir Ashad are both ahead of Brody Maynard as we expected, but Brody making the championship choice there, should we call it, the safe choice. Rune's been given a drive-through for pit lane entry speed, so speeding on the pit lane entry, and big moment for Brody Maynard as he has to have another go at the steering wheel, but he's got the pace here and he's a long way ahead of Leon down in P9, although obviously they currently run first and second in AM, which is important to remember.
He's got the pace. Brody's got the pace. He's got the familiarity with the wet feeling already, and he is going to have temperature sooner than the drivers ahead. So I'd expect Brody to be making a pass for the overall lead sooner than later. He's going to be at the front at the front, and he has the pace to be up there, fight up there, and stay up there.
Yeah, he's right on the back of Samir Ashad here, who lost 4 seconds to Brody was only slower than the leader in the middle sector. So Brody's got mega pace, like you said. And Samir, big moment behind the GT3 car, who is behind. That's a lapped car in front.
The GT traffic playing into the hands of Brody here. Brody should have the speed. He should be more comfortable on the brakes going into one.
We've had a big moment. I think Ruben Stegemann is off the road.
Whoa.
Coy Coven's under investigation as well. This is what happened to Ayrton, who was already off the track there. This is the start of that incident, I think, with Ayrton, Sanchez and Caballero, and Ayrton loses that on the brakes, and wow, comes careering across the track, and that could have been an awful lot worse. This is what happened to Ruben Stegemann, who is going to lose it on the brakes as well, I would have thought, and his teammate running just behind. Remember, the championship leader going into today's race. And the championship leader will feel that there was an unsafe rejoin, I would have thought, in front of him there. And Ruben loses it on the brakes, and his teammate actually manages to stop through. Jean-Paul Seaman, the race leader, has also had a moment. Is it coming up over the hill, or is it going to be in the braking zone? It's going to be in the braking zone into the hairpin. He still leads the race. Said to my timing tower, he's not lost much time, but just deep, but does the right thing, just lets it roll forwards and keeps it pointed in the right direction. Ben Groneveld has had a moment as well as he's going to be down into the hairpin. It's tricky in the heavy braking zones, it looks like. Daniel Renek has also had a moment. Everybody's off the road. We're going to see what happened to Daniel Renek as Jeffrey Ross has got past Alex Ott. Oh, and Ben Groneveld, yeah. Again, stops it from spinning. Daniel Renek going around the outside of one of our GT3s. And on the curb, doesn't lose it on the curb, surprisingly. But is he going to lose it on that inside curb? No, just drops it mid-corner.
Oh.
There's no grip out there right now. And let's take a look at how Jeffrey Ross managed to get past Daniel Renek. I believe Jeffrey Ross made the jump in the pit lane on Vincenzo Soroche. Yeah, Jeffrey Ross passing Vincenzo Soroche on pit lane exit, so pitting on different laps. But tyre choice making a difference in the fight in the lead as well, with Jeffrey Ross getting by on track. Daniel Renek slow. Oh, there's been a big incident, I believe.
Thank you.
Getting a lot of people showing up as crash. What happened is Daniel Renek. We've just seen this one. Apologies. This is Tiemann Scholten in the McLaren. And that's Daniel Renek behind, who I believe is unfortunately going to get involved in whatever happens here. And spin for Tiemann Scholten. Daniel Renek avoids, as does Sebastian. Moment for Ruben Stegemann as well, who just slips and slides off the road as there's no grip now. And driver's just trying to find the limit. And it looks like Ruben maybe going to have another moment through the high speed here. And yes, he does, just rolls off the road. And no grip out there on the green stuff. But wow, keeps it pointed in the right direction very impressively. But Ruben with another moment now as he passes one of the GT3 cars.
Is this the one that's under investigation?
I don't even know. No, under investigation is the big incident we saw at the hairpin a couple of laps ago. Oh, Ruben locks up straight on at the hairpin, avoids the car in front, fortunately for him.
Oh, this is live. Oh, that was live. Renek around.
Yeah, we just came to it. And Daniel Renek is going to make his way through turn 1 and turn 2, but have a problem, it looks like, in turn 3 and 4, is it? Oh, drops it on the brakes. Max Meyer has passed Jean-Paul Seaman, who was leading by 10 seconds. So what's happened to Jean-Paul Seaman? Nowhere to be seen in front. Is he going to be off the road?
There he is up. No way. There's this. Wait, he's so far ahead. There's no way.
Oh, Jean-Paul Seaman has got a big problem. He's dropped right down the order. And has he even had some sort of connection issue? Yeah, he's showing us out of the race.
Oh no!
Can you move out of the way, Guti? Thank you.
Oh.
So this is Jean-Paul Seaman, who got a full black flag, but then disconnected. What's happened? Why is Jean-Paul Seaman disconnected? Oh! Internet problems or hardware problems for the race leader, who was tumbled down the order, has dropped to P7. Max Meyer now leads. Brody Maynard runs P2 overall for Brody Maynard, who is having a mega race. He's P2 overall, P1 in class, 25 seconds ahead of Leon, the man he needs to finish ahead of on the road. Down the inside, is it for Brody Maynard on the race leader, Jeffrey Ross in GT3. Brody being careful there, doesn't want to pick up a penalty like a drive-through or anything like that for GTP and GT3 contact, because that's the last thing Brody needs in today's race. Simon Van Ruyen has had a moment. GT3 driver who's already served a drive-through penalty for pit lane entry speed.
Drivers just not finding their braking zone in the wet. Your braking zone.
Ruben Stegemann into the pit lane. Was this a scheduled stop? Looks like it to me.
Fuel? Just for fuel? Or?
Oh, went to not in world, I'm seeing. What happened to Ruben? Oh, he's retired from the race, I think. Has had a torrid time, yeah. And toes to the pit lane. So tumbles down the order as well. Vincenzo Soroche, who started on pole, is now 4 seconds off the lead. He's trying to get past a man who took the lead from him a few laps ago, who has also now been overtaken by Jeffrey Ross. But Vincenzo Soroche trying to get back up into P2. This race is just about the finishing position for Vincenzo Soroche. There's no championship for him to lose here. As long as he doesn't get disqualified, he will be the GT3 Pro champion. What has happened to Jose Carlos Villarejo? We've seen a couple of drivers struggle here at the top of the hill in the braking zone on the rain. A little bit of a slide. Oh, unfortunately for the Spanish driver, ends up pointed in the wrong direction.
Just I found it humorous. A joke from Amy, one of our race control. Yeah, one of our stewards, rather. It seems like the Nuggies are chasing the Frenchies. As in.
Is that the chicken nugget car chasing a French
The chicken
car?
nugget chasing a French driver. Ayrton having fighting with the car.
Yeah, Ayrton struggling to keep control of the car whilst gaining on Eloy Caballero.
He's still fighting with the car. Oh,
the gap is about half a second. You can see how bad the spray is even in these relatively light rain conditions.
Can you see? I can't see.
Let's see when they get up to speed.
And gone. It's just the cloud.
It's not great, is it?
No.
You can see why the drivers really struggle when we get into the heavier rain conditions.
All over. Wow. All over the brakes. Putting them right on the gearbox of Caballero with the few moments still fighting with the car in some of the corners.
Oh, Ayrton, Caballero slowing through the corner. Ayrton's going to try and get a little bit of a switchback, but can't make it work. It looks like it's just a matter of time here for Ayrton. He was running.
Inside? Oh. Ayrton a little slow on the curbs. You don't want to be putting power down on those wet curbs. Sheer? Was it?
This is, Samir Ashad, who is trying to get past Brody Maynard for P2 overall. Currently runs P2 in class, but is 14 seconds behind the leader.
Traffic playing into the overall. Is this overall lead?
So this is Brody Maynard, who leads in GTP but runs P2 overall, and Samir Ashad and now Albert Preem will be wanting to get by Brody. Oh, Ayrton Koykoven is off the road, further down the field.
Stay with us.
Oh, Samir Ashad is off the road. That's going to give Brody a little bit of breathing room. Let's take a look at what happened to Ayrton. Down into turn 1. pushing so much, Ayrton. The car's been loose. It's been threatening to happen, and there we go. And Ben Groneveld now off the road.
The car is just not happy with the rain at all. I wonder if does Ben have a similar?
Oh, is Brody being off? Because Albert Preem is by Brody now. Brody's had a spin on the start-finish straight. The leader in GTP, Am, avoids the barrier narrowly, I believe. Let's take another look at it. It was very, very close.
He might have tapped the barrier a bit, but with that speed, I don't know. That's
no meatball flag on that car, but I think Brody's off again further around the lap. I think something might be wrong with the rear suspension.
Might have, yeah, he might. No meatball, but there definitely might be something wrong with the back of that car.
Scotty Coven's been black flagged. It's just hit 22 incident points, so that's for the drive-through, is it? I would have thought.
It is a drive-through. Yeah, if it's listed as a black flag, that should just be a drive-through that's automatically done by
steering.
Not racing, or rather iRacing.
Steering looks straight on the Cadillac of Brody Maynard, who's still 24 seconds ahead of his championship rival. He just needs to take it slow, and the car really struggling now. I wonder if he burnt up those wets on those first few laps. We're probably a couple of minutes away from the pit stop, though. So Brody Maynard just needs to hang on for another few laps or so. He's off the overall podium now, so he just needs to worry about the championship here. And we've got to get you an updated radar, because look, we're moving into that slightly heavier yellow rain now.
Bit of a snap from Brody.
Vincenzo Soroche is going to get past Alex Ott and move back up into P2 in this race, and finds a gap down the inside, aided a little bit by the GTP driver making the gap for him, but pulls ahead of Alex Ott and will now set off down the road after Jeffrey Ross. As Sanchez Cachapiero now clears Brody.
Brody is definitely having to manage some damage of some kind.
I think he might have
that
some rear aero maybe, or maybe a little bit of rear suspension, but he'll use his fast repair in the pit stop, remember, so just needs to get to the pit window so he can come in. Albert Preem, no, the driver that was running P2 is in the wall and in the gravel trap. Oh, and off the road. It's getting heavier rain down here at the hairpin now, and the drivers, you can see the rain just moving onto that heavy braking zone. And another driver off in the wall. That's Sanchez off in the wall. Let's take a look at how Albert Preem ended up there, and then there's going to be just copies of that for the other two drivers.
Hold on. He's well on his brakes there.
I think, look at it looks to me like there's a relatively big puddle that's just been formed now down. And one of our race control members and stewards, Amy, making a good point that we covered in qualifying. Whoever finished ahead of Brody and Leon is going to win the championship, especially when they're fighting right at the front. So keep an eye on that. That leader's come down now, but I think Brody, just like we said, is just managing in these last few laps of this stint. There's about 25 minutes to go, so I think we'll probably see Brody in this time by or next time by, and we'll probably keep the same wets on but take some fuel. Eloy Caballero now off the road as well. It's getting trickier out there. Fanto Avale also off the road. That's at turn 1, I believe.
That is turn 1. What has happened?
This is Fanto going off track. Just no grip in the braking zone.
No, yeah.
Remember here, Brody currently ahead of Leon, and remember, it's whoever finishes ahead of the other driver will win the championship at this point. So Brody's got it all to lose right now, and Leon with nothing to lose right now. We just got a message saying Brody crashed, but I think that's just because of how slow him and Melvin Gack were both going into the hairpin. So let's take another look at what happened into that hairpin. And you can see the big puddle now forming at the apex. And it wasn't a crash, it was just two drivers incredibly slow at the apex compared to racing speeds.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just give you an update
on the corner just to make it.
Brody Maynard off the road again. No, the Cadillac driver half spins.
Keeps it forward.
And I was about to say, Brody Maynard doing a good job on incident points. He was only on 10 before that incident, as was Leon. But now 11 for Brody and 12 for Leon. Brody, I think you need to get it into the pits soon. You should be able to make it to the end from here on fuel, especially since you use a lot less fuel in the rain. But it's really getting wet out there now for these drivers. Especially if Brody can make it to the end on fuel, he needs to come in and repair any of the damage that he does now have on that Cadillac. But stays out another lap.
Stays out. He feels he can manage the... No, but you'd still want to pit around this time. A lot of the drivers choosing to stay out. I wonder if the GTPs are gambling on a strategy that we just don't see. Because I would have imagined a few of them would have come in this lap. Maybe next lap.
Remember, Eloy, Sanchez, Ashad, and Preem are all in that battle for P2 in GT in Pro. So Sanchez Cachafiero a little bit further down the order, probably. Sanchez runs P4. So the drivers all in the battle for P2 are currently in the top 5. So we'll see those drivers all running together. We'll see those drivers battle it out till the end of the race, and we'll try and get you championship results as soon as we can. Race control are going to be monitoring that as Leon clears another GT3. Everybody going extremely careful here. And what's happened to Brody? Because Brody now is only a few seconds, and Brody's had another moment because he's only 5 seconds ahead of Leon.
What?
Brody, get in and fix the damage. He needs to repair this car because it's not working right now. And look how bad the spray is, and there's just no grip. Down under the brakes.
Ooh.
And look, just gets on that puddle, and there's just no grip on that puddle.
Gets on the puddle, gets on the curb, gets on that sausage, just everything you don't want to touch in the wet.
And Leon is now chasing him down. Brody needs to pit to fix that damage as soon as possible. Because he had the pace, even in the wet he had the pace before he had the spin. 20 minutes to go. I would expect pit stops very, very soon in this race now.
Surprised that
race control saying they don't think he has any damage, but I think he might have a little bit of aero damage. It's not all damage, I agree, but I think there might be a little bit of aero damage on the car.
He definitely has something. Like, even if it's not displaying it visually, he has.
Oh, Leon had the hard spin in the final corner.
Moments.
Yeah, it's tricky for all of our drivers out there, and Leon loose again on the exit. That's cost him a few seconds.
And they still don't come down pit lane.
I wonder if there's some hope that they can make it to the end, perhaps, because they're using so little fuel in these conditions.
I also wonder if Brody is waiting for Leon to make the move, and Leon waiting for Brody to make the move.
Amy saying that Brody has a little bit of rear wing damage, so perhaps a little bit of downforce loss. So Brody should, if I was Brody, I'd be into the pits as soon as possible now.
Yeah, if he does have rear wing damage, it's going to be it's going to be left side of his wing, because that is where he made contact with the pit wall. I can see that actually a little bit of damage on the right hand side of the car with the wheel rubbing up against the arch. Oh yeah, look at that.
See if we can take a look at the left rear for comparison. And look, actually, a little bit of the bodywork is detached around that right rear. You can see the Mobil 1 logo here, all as one complete section. Apologies. And if we take a look at the right rear, you can see that section is detached. So there is definitely some damage on that car.
So that's gonna be aero damage.
Yeah,
Right?
and that's
part
not
of the-
what Brody needs right now, to be honest.
It's not what he needs. Yeah.
Get in and use the fast repair as soon as possible. I know he needs to make sure he can make it to fuel on the end.
And your resurrection, not seeing the damage, you're going, oh, yep, yeah, there it is.
Is he in this time by for Brody Maynard? No, stays
mad
out
lad.
again.
Mad. Completely
He's
mad.
losing time to Leon now, not just through mistakes, just through pace. So I would expect him in soon.
You need fuel, you need tires. They're not. No, I think you get away with tires.
Meanwhile, Samir Ashad is eating away at the lead, and Maximilian Meyer, he took about 2 seconds out of him on the previous lap. So it is coming down at the front. Keep an eye on that. But like we said, Samir just pushing on. Max trying to do that last to first challenge and is doing a good job so far in that little race of his own. Eloy Caballero is off track again and is falling out of contention for P2. He currently sits P2 in the title, but I believe will lose it if he finishes P5. Could be wrong though. Drop round maths are always confusing when you're trying to do it on the fly.
I don't bother with the math. I let smarter people handle it, like Amy.
Melvin Gatt, Casper Hu off the road, as is Fabio Gibrino, and as is the GTP around him. What happened with Melvin Gatt and Casper Hu?
so much happening.
Melvin Gatt. Oh, Casper Hu caught the curb on the inside, and that just sent the car wide. Alvaro Gutierrez is into the pits, by the way, the GTP driver. Still no pit stop for Brody or Leon.
I saw Gak sideways in the middle of the track. I don't.
Caballero under threat now from Sebastian van der Heuvel. Oh, and spin for Eloy Caballero and drops behind Sebastian now.
Those Go Esports cars are just not having a fun day today.
No, I think Go Esports may be expecting the rain to come a little bit later in the race. They looked a lot better in the dry. It wasn't great, but on the opening stint,
yeah.
But it was good, and I think they struggled a little bit with these slippy conditions. Apologies if you can hear dogs barking in the background.
I was about to say.
Oh, moment for Leon, or is Leon to the pits? Leon with a meatball flag. What's happened to the championship leader?
He's losing his front?
He's jumped to the pits. He's had to tow. It was in turn 1 or turn 2, turn 3. In that section, goes straight on to turn 1. No brakes. No brakes. Hits the barrier big, as did Daniel Renek. The grip disappearing in turn 1 all at once. I'm trying to find. This is Daniel Renek having a similar incident, but managing to get it slowed a little bit earlier.
It looked
and
like
Brody nearly got caught out by that as well. Daniel Renek alongside Brody.
Was also on the wall, yeah.
That's going to cost Leon the championship unless Brody has a moment now. Brody just needs to keep it on the road and ahead of Leon once Leon serves his penalty. But I think Brody is going to be a lap up on the field at this rate, because I'm looking at laps completed and it's 43 for Brody. Then the next driver in AM, Leon, was on 43, but he will obviously stay on 43 for at least a lap. Then the next AM car after that is Carlos Ponce, who's on 42. So this is good news for Brody. He can play it very safe now till the end of the race. Let's just take another look at that incident for Leon from the onboard. Look, just aquaplaned, you can see.
They're just completely awkward, yeah.
Wow, 0 grip into turn 1 for the Dutchman. Had to be towed back to pit lane, the damage was so severe. And Brody Maynard has got a Go Esports car directly behind him. I'm trying to work out who that is. I believe it's a car that's a lap down. as is the car directly in front of him, and Brody flashing the lights to get out of his way. Race control will be monitoring this, I'm sure. There are blue flags, of course, and deep goes that Go Esports car. Brody will want him out the way. You don't want a car in front of you that's a lap down to make a mistake and catch you out in the process. Vincenzo Soroche has passed Daniel Renek, but that's because Daniel Renek in GTP is in the pit lane or in the wall or is trying to get back with damage, something like that, I believe. Maya to the pit lane, the first of the GTPs to make the final stop. No tyres, just fuel, and it's a 12 minute and 11 minute now sprint to the end for the race leader, the championship winner, the champion of the 9th season of ASR in GTP. Drops down to P3 on the road, but obviously has made his final pit stop when others have yet to do so. I don't think we'll see anyone take new tyres as Simon Van Ruyen has a moment. Look, you can see the puddles across the track in the final corner. Oh, Van Ruyen on the curb. Wow. And that's an unfortunate place to crash going up the hill. Keeps you at the barrier, at least.
Yeah.
Brody to the pit lane now. Leon is back out on track in case Brody has a similar incident. He's only 1 lap down to Brody, I'm seeing on the timing screen. We'll wait till he's completed a lap to fully confirm that gap. But I think it's a lap down to Maynard for Leon. So we'll go back out in case there's a moment for Brody in the final stages of this race. And Leon will have refueled in that repair stop as well, so we'll be able to run to the end, but a minute 32 behind Brody.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be one big moment as well. It could be Brody can have several smaller moments that chip away at the gap between him and Leon, which could bring him back into the race. So it is with 10 minutes to go. It is very much not over in AM or.
Off the road, that's Fabio Gibrino. Alex Ott, and let's throw the pit stops back up on screen actually, so we can see how many stops all of our drivers have made. And Vincenzo Soroche, the only driver in GT3 Pro yet to make that final stop. Same case for Melvin Gack.
Yeah, I was going to say, they were all within a few seconds of each other, and suddenly being 36 seconds ahead, I would have assumed that Soroche had yet to make a stop.
Brody Maynard has passed Sebastian for P5. And that's Sebastian. Is that Sebastian pulled off the side of the road there? Yes, it is. What happened to Sebastian? This is what happened to the Dutchman in the Ferrari. Oh, some rivers running across the track there, and has he run out of power or something? I'm not sure what's happened here. Or Sebastian.
Could be a hardware issue as well. A couple of drivers have.
Gets it moving again. I'm not sure what happened there for Sebastian. Don't know if he just wanted to get out of the way of the AM leader. Didn't want to get involved in the battle, perhaps. But it was a weird way to pull over in the middle of the
wouldn't
race.
Pull off. You wouldn't completely stop like that.
Nothing under investigation.
If you were gonna pull off, I would imagine you just roll it. I'd imagine we'll probably see it later in the Discord that it's like, oh, something like fell on my desk, or
Samir Rashad, Clobbers the Wall was running P2, remember, in this race, was running in the lead, but it's a net P2, and there's serious suspension damage on that car. He's been given the meatball flag, and I believe he's carried on and then crashed again further round.
Oh, that front left is just
Race control won't be happy with this if the car's not in a safe condition to drive back to the pits. You are expected to tow, and look, it won't even turn through turn 3 with that front left wheel not on the car. So Albert Preem then moves into the lead of the race on the road, I believe. He did, and then Samir Rashad got... How did Samir Rashad... Let's see, because Samir Rashad apparently re-overtook Albert Preem, so I'm not sure what's going to... he's going to take to the escape road here and come out briefly ahead. He needs to tow, though, I would have thought.
I would imagine.
Andy says nothing on our side, but he thinks that Sebastian maybe had an issue with the VR headset. And Sebastian and Brody are battling it out here.
Oh, right, because Seb does race with...
Yeah, and he had an issue with the headset in qualifying as well, he said. And he's moved now back ahead of Brody, who knows this isn't his fight and doesn't really want to get into a wheel-to-wheel battle with the teammate of his championship rival. Preem still yet to do a stop, and Max Meyer now 1.8 seconds on the back of Preem and 1 stop ahead of Preem. So incredible pace and consistency from Meyer all day. He's been mistake-free. We've not seen that from, I think, any driver today to be completely mistake-free apart from our GT3 Pro leaders. So it's been a mega impressive race for Max Meyer so far. The lead, by the way, in GT3 AM, Melvin Gack leads Casper Hu by just 1.2 seconds, and that gap is coming down quite quickly. So we're going to keep an eye on Casper Hu. I wonder if Preem's trying to make it to the end here, because 5 minutes to go, I would have expected to see him in there. What's happened to Carlos Villarejo, though?
That car does not look happy. I can just tell you now. Curve.
We've seen this before. Villarejo really struggling in the rain. It was the same case at the single class round. And yeah, just lacking grip there. Vincenzo Soroche's come out at the pit lane and retaken the lead in GT3 Pro. Jeffrey Ross is all over the back of him. Alex Ott is a long way back. I'm not sure what's happened to Alex. I don't know if we missed something. He drove through the pit lane twice, did he? No, he didn't. So I'm not sure what has happened to Alex Ott.
Why is... that's 17 seconds is...
Did he change tyres in the stop, perhaps? See if we can get pit lane.
7. That just, it feels more than that.
Down the inside to try and defend for Vincenzo Soroche. But Jeffrey Ross is going to drive all the way around the outside.
Ross finding more grip on the outside, but can Soroche find... Can he make the move into the braking zones? He is just right. That is... Nose to gearbox is incredible. Who's brave on the brakes?
Oh, contact for the lead in GT3 Pro. Both of our drivers sent spinning round, and
he's yielding the position.
Yeah, let's Jeffrey Ross back ahead. Smart move here. Alex Ott still 18 seconds behind. I can't find any reason for Alex to be that far back on. With sort of an incident, so not sure what happened to Alex Ott.
Immediately under investigation by race control. Not surprised as we've been and race control's gonna hate me. We've been fairly calm.
Casper Hu, sorry, we missed it. Casper Hu is passed for the lead in GT3 Pro. Gets round the outside in the Chicken Nuggets car.
That's
and now
incredible. Let's
take another look at what happened in the lead. Jeffrey Ross on the outside. We need a better angle than that, I think.
We need a better. Come on.
Oh, it's a big send from Vincenzo Soroche.
It is a big send.
And just a drift wide, because Alex Ott saw him, and I think you would argue there wasn't enough room on the inside there, just about. And I think that's why Vincenzo Soroche let him by, and that's why race control have said that it is a racing incident. Brady Maynard has passed Sebastian, and that's because Sebastian has come in for his final pit stop. So Brody, P5 overall, but leads in AM by about a lap.
Oh, no.
And Jeffrey Ross has managed to pull away a little bit now that he got back into the lead.
Race control is saying they are having technical difficulties at the same time.
Been a super close season all season in pretty much every class. That GTPM fight is still not over. I know Brody leads by a lap, but it's still not over.
Not GAC is all of the not splits. All of the categories are just very, very close. Even if
slide for Vincenzo Soroche. Instant under investigation there.
That's Boise and wait, the 7th. It's Alloway.
Trying to find that lap 44. I'm missing any instance between lap 45 and 48. Am I? I don't know. I'm not sure what that incident is.
Might be. Race control can
the 52 and 77. I can't see anything for the 52, for the 77. Sorry, and Quinton Bossi in the 52.
Oh, could be impeding. Could be a GT3 because that is
getting a
Quinton
message
Boise
from
in the GT3.
Andy, I think. What's happened to Carlos Pons, the man who has not had a good day all day? Leon spun middle of final corner and was collected by Bossy. We've not flagged that. I'm not sure why. Not showed up for us.
iRace control is dead.
And Sebastian has also had a moment. On the brakes in the Ferrari and just no grip, as we've seen many times. And spins trying to get back onto the racing surface.
Is this? Oh, okay.
I thought this was it, but this is Bossy entering the pit lane apparently. So I have no idea what happened. It's not showing up on my broadcast log or on my race control log, so very strange.
Race control's dead. That died.
But mine is still on, so it should still be tracking.
Yours is still?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think Amy's died. Oh, I don't. Who knows? It's not really affecting the battle right now because Leon is still about the same gap he was behind. And
Ross goes wide. Opens the door for Soroche.
And there's a close battle in Am as well, and Ross still ahead. And is going to try and stay ahead with the inside line, and there's more contact between these two, really battling out for the final win of the season. We've just we will be on the white flag lap, by the way, because we're at 1 minute 32. It's going to be checkered flag. Let's just see Max Meyer come to the line to win the final race of the season. Started last on the grid. Consistency and pace all day have been the key to the win, and Max Meyer will win for the final race of the season. I'm seeing Albert Preem has had a problem. So I'm not sure what's happened to Albert on the last lap. But Albert Preem has gone to not in world. What's happened to Albert Preem?
Gone.
Run out of fuel. Albert Preem trying to coast around the lap. He's in neutral. No fuel for Albert Preem at the end of the race.
Was that on the?
I think
was
we
it on
went
the
one
last
lap
lap?
more than Preem thought we would. Jeffrey Ross is going to lead and win the race. Melvin Gack is back ahead of Casper Hu. This is how it happened. On the throttle, just lays down the power to clear the McLaren and gets it done in the braking zone. Mega move.
Well done, Gak.
Brody Maynard approaching the end of the lap, a minute ahead of Leon. It's been a slow final lap for Brody, but I think he's just taking it very slowly. He was at 30 seconds off the pace in sector 1, in fact, so I'm not sure if Brody has had a small... Oh, I got Brody entering the pit lane. Brody with a splash and dash. I think we went one lap longer than a lot of drivers thought we would.
Yeah, I was about to say, last I saw, Brody was a minute 30, minute 40 ahead of Leon.
I'm seeing a pit lane time of 45 seconds, so he had to come in for a little bit of fuel there.
Incredible. That is going to be checkered for...
So Leon comes across the line, to take the checkered flag in second place. So Brody Maynard will be declared the champion now as he comes to the line. There's nothing else under investigation for either of these drivers, so it is going to be the race win and the championship for Brody Maynard. Despite a couple of spins and an extra trip to the pit lane, he's done enough to win the race in GTP AM. Jeffrey Ross came home to win the race, by the way, in GT3 Pro, but another incident has just been put under investigation by race control.
Ross and
no further action already. There we go.
That was quick. Okay.
Melvin Gack and Casper Hu, was that under investigation? I thought I heard someone on the radio, but I'm not seeing anything pop up.
I didn't see. I think someone asked for it, but I didn't see anyone a formal investigation. Race control confirming GTM championship goes to Brody. As Brody, has it stopped raining? It stopped raining.
I think it looks like it's just stopped raining. So Brody Maynard will be GTP AM champion, as we already discussed a couple of times today. Maximilian Meyer will be GTP Pro champion. Jeffrey Ross will be GTP. Vincenzo Sciarroce will be GT3 Pro champion, and your GT3 AM champion will be the driver who was not here today. And I'm just trying to remember who that was for my own peace of mind, and it will be on my standing sheet. It was, of course, Senna Botkoven in the Corvette, who was not here today, but will win the championship anyway. And we'll try and get you some more full results if we can. And we're going to drag down our 2 GTP championship winners.
I want to see because there was quite a bit of door banging between Ross and Sciarroce, so and that was what went under investigation, but we'll get to that later.
Okay, we'll go to you first, Max. What a race, last to first to finish off the season. You were obviously crowned champion last week, but how does it feel to win that race from the last row of the grid and take the championship as well?
Yeah, that was a crazy race, to say the least. I don't know what to say. I mean, at the beginning I was like, okay, let's see, podium, looks good. And then when the rain came, it was just a survival at the end of the day. I mean, I think you saw it in the broadcast that I had a little incident with the barrier on one of the last laps, where I lost a lot of time to Albert. But luckily, I think he ran out of fuel, and we still won. But... yeah, horrendous conditions.
Albert, unfortunately, I think we looked at when you took the checkered flag. I think we just ticked over it. Like it was very tight. I think you just made it one lap longer than some of the drivers were expecting. So Albert not making it to the end on the fuel, unfortunately. But you were mega quick anyway in the dry, and then like you say, the rain. It just got trickier and trickier every lap. It looked like.
Yeah, but do you guys know what happened to Seaman? Because he wasn't the lead.
He just disconnected. He just disconnected, yeah.
It was reported that Seaman might have had technical issues with his wheel pushing out an update mid-race.
Oh, Yeah, unfortunately,
Which
because
is
I think
brilliant, isn't it?
it would have been difficult to catch him because I think the gap was like 10 seconds or so. But yeah, what a season! I have to also thank all of you guys from ASR for organizing this season. Was a pleasure to drive in. I had a lot of fun, and also the organization was top notch. Heads up.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Obviously, it's been brilliant to have you with us, and hopefully we'll see you next season. But of course, if not, congratulations on the championship, and enjoy it.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Okay, Albert, we'll jump to you quickly. A mega day, a mega day on pace. Obviously, not the final result you would have wanted, but I think you'll still be classified P4 in class despite running out of fuel.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what it's showing on my timing screen at the moment. But I have to wait for Andy to like check it all and everything. But yeah, I mean, I still think what I think worst case scenario, it's P5 in the championship. So obviously you struggled on a couple of races, and the BMW maybe struggled a little bit as well. But still a good season from you overall.
True. Yeah, it was a little bit of a gamble because I didn't pit after the rain tires, and because P1 Meyer pitted in, so he came behind me, and then the guy with the Ferrari,
Samir,
crashed.
yeah.
He crashed. So I took the lead, and then my fuel went from +2 now -0.1. So I thought I can make it without a full stop.
Right,
But
okay.
the big mistake I made is that I saw it a little bit too late. If I think I parked the car like 3-4 seconds in the last turn, then I was like 140 over start finish, 145, and then I got the white flag. So I pushed a little bit too hard in the last sector. That's why I get
So you did
another
one more
lap.
lap,
And
yeah.
yeah, so then I ran out of fuel, and I tried it, but it was impossible. I got with 0.7 over finish line, so I tried it, but yeah, at the end, it was a hard laugh, unfortunately.
Yeah, but
So-
I mean, you've said it in the past that you're not too keen on the fuel saving, but you tried it, and it nearly worked out very well for you. But
Yeah.
the pace was also good all race as well, so that's
Yeah, true.
encouraging at least to see. Yeah.
Yeah, the BMW wasn't the best choice, I think, but it was not worse also. And I got a couple of Monza. I crashed out through somebody, and 2 races later I crashed against somebody, pointed me off. But after all, I have a great season again with RSR like many other times, and I want to thank you guys for everything. And maybe we see each other next season again.
Yeah, well, it'd be brilliant to see you back, and congratulations on the P5, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Brody, we spoke in qualifying a little bit about what you had to do today in the race to take the championship. Obviously, you had a couple of moments. It looked a little bit sketchy at one point. The qualifying was great. You made the gap, had some more problems later on in the race. Leon obviously having that big crash, but you got the job done. You got what you needed to do to keep it on the road, and it looks, we think anyway, that you had to have a little splash at the end for fuel. Were you actually going to run out, or was that just like for a little bit of safety?
No, that was. I did need fuel. I thought with how slow we were running, how much we were having to lift off through the rain, I thought I could take less than what I needed, but. Yeah, I noticed, obviously through the pop-up text, that Leon had a bit of an incident with the GT3. He just disappeared off my relative timing, so I obviously don't know how far back he fell. But yeah, like I said when we were spoken earlier, I just needed to focus on what I were doing. And the pace from the car today was absolutely mega. Through qualifying, I did not expect to be as fast as I was. Through practice, I think I was half a second, nearly 8/10 down on the fastest time. So I was expecting to sort of be towards the back of the pro field, but still be quick. And then when I set the lap, I think at 51 milliseconds or something like that, off the pro pole, I was shocked. And then just keeping out of trouble. Again, the car was just unreal. And yeah, focus on what I needed to do, and obviously brought home the trophy. So very pleased.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Obviously, it went right down to the wire, and hopefully we'll see you back next season running the ASR again.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, congratulations on the championship and the race win today. We'll go to you now, Jeffrey. A race win that maybe didn't look likely at one point. You spent a lot of the race running in P3, watching the two cars in front of you battle it out. I believe the two in front of you went side by side for over a whole lap at one point. You just sort of waited patiently, but played the game long in the long run and came away with the win.
Yeah, it was all part of the strat. I chose to drive a wet setup at the start, so I knew I only had to wait till the weather arrived, which luckily arrived. So I had good pace, was on it, and extended the gap quite a bit until Vincenzo did a great fuel-saving job and jumped just in front of me. And we had to make it work, cost what cost. So very happy.
Yeah, well, obviously, yeah, a very good race. You made it work with that wet setup, and I mean, you ran very close to the guys in front, even when you were on the wet setup. So the pace was clearly in the car. I think that will, in fact, probably jump you up to P3 in the championship as well. We'll obviously get that confirmed as soon as possible. But I think with Daniel not taking part today, the points that you scored should jump you up to P3 in the title as well. So congratulations on that as well.
Good to hear, I hope so. After this bummer of a Spa race, I luckily ended the season very well.
All right, well, congratulations, and hopefully we'll see you back next season or at some other point in the future.
Probably will. Thanks for all the hosting this season. It was a great one. See you guys later.
See you later. Right, we'll run you through our results quite quickly. We've got the GTP AM standings up there. So Leon finishing P2. The championship leader drops down to P2 in the championship as well. Brody Maynard wins the race and the championship. Ben Gronevel P3. Carlos Pons P4. And then Daniel Renek and Pete Preens, I believe, will not be scored. Then we're going to jump to our GTP Pro standings, where Maximilian Meyer won the race from the last row of the grid. Sanchez came home to finish P2 ahead of Ashad after Preem ran out of fuel on the last lap. Van der Heuvel in P5, Caballero P6, Gutierrez P7, Avale P8, Koikhoven, Seaman and Stegemann round off the field, not scoring points. Seaman, unfortunately, led a lot of the race, but disconnected after a wheel update was forced on him mid-race. So he'll be in touch with, I believe that's Fanatec, for some, we'll probably not be very happy with that because would have come away
some
from
words,
today.
Yeah, some words for Fanatec, I believe.
he'd had a very, good race up to that day. But yeah, it is what it is. Right, and then we'll go through GT3 Pro standings. Jeffrey Ross was your race winner by 2 seconds to Vincenzo De Roche. Alex Ott came home in P3 after struggling a lot in the final stint. Gregory Kohler and Fabio Gibrino both finished a lap down in P4 and P5. And your GT3 AM standings for the final race of the season, Melvin Gack won by 0.6 of a second ahead of Casper, who Jose Carlos Villarreal, struggling in the rain, as we've seen in the past, came home from P3. Simon Van Roo and Bossy, both struggling as well a little bit in the rain, P4 and P5. And Scholten will not be scored in P6, 15 laps down. As we said, our champions are confirmed. Brody in GTP AM, Vincenzo Soroche in GT3 Pro, and Maximilian Meyer in GTP Pro, and in GT3 AM it is Senna Bockhoven ahead of Carlos Villarejo.
Andy's saying that Ross is staying behind Morpy because Morpy having a drop round.
See, this is why drop rounds just make the maths so confusing.
The math, it's like, I get why we do it, but the math is just it.
Okay, everyone that joined us today and for the rest of the season, thank you very much, and all of the drivers that joined us for every race this season. It's been a brilliant competition, and we will see you in season 10.